Okay, guys. So, what I want to show you is basically how to use your oil pastels first. I'm just gonna work one little area, and then I'm gonna work another area with the colored pencils. Okay. So if you have, by any chance, remember these were optional. If you have them, that's great. If you don't worry about it. They're like, as you know, the oil pastels, they are called oil pastels because what part of the material is the pigment with oil. Okay, it's oleum. That's why these are going to feel like crayons, but they're going to be more creamy, and they're going to be wonderful for illustration. In this case, because I don't have like a very big color palette, we are going to try to use the best, the more, like the most similar of them. So I think that I'm gonna use this like mustard, this like jello, maybe a little bit of this pink. Obviously I'm gonna use the black, and perhaps, no, I think pink is not gonna work out. I'm not gonna use the gray because the gray is just going to mess up a little bit things, but I'm gonna use the brown. This is definitely the most accurate one for this for the inner part of the bowl. Okay, so basic rules, guys. Black is going to be at the end of the drawing. This is dirty. This is obviously this is not something that we can erase. Well, we can, but I don't recommend it because the paper will get ruined a little bit. So let's say that the black is going to be the very last part. Okay, so basically the principle of the pastels is to start drawing by layers, or in this case coloring by layers. If I go to my original, I want to deconstruct the color palette. I would say that the background is going to be a little bit of jello with like orange, and obviously this is a photo, but I can say because this is a wall, and it has like little pieces of white. Okay, obviously what you are going to try to represent is the texture. Remember, guys, you have to be always observing. If you start coloring and you have more than 3 seconds without paying attention to this, we have a problem, guys, okay? You need to observe all the time. You need to go like this. This is my head. So go see the original, go back to your drawing. Original, drawing, okay? Because believe me, guys, otherwise you will start making up things. So I'm gonna start saturating with this one. So this is the pastel. You can just something like this. As you can see, I'm not saturating as much at the beginning because I want to try to use the texture of the paper. The block, because it is like a cardboard, it has texture. So we are going to use that texture so our drawing can be as natural as possible. Like try to make it feel as the original, as it was like a rock. Okay, remember, guys, don't worry about that much about the pencil lines. Okay, and not only like the grid, but also your original. Okay, you have to be very patient with this one. I have to be honest, guys, this is like a project that it will take you time. Don't expect to finish this in 20 minutes. That's not going to be possible. You have to work this little by little, and I'm actually going to give you time for this. If you can see, guys, look at this. This is very important. Sorry, the light is not working out so good, but I intentionally left those areas like just like white spaces. What? That's why, because instead of just saturating with this like mustard color, I want to then later on start to saturate those areas a little bit with the pastel. And as you can see, the lighting is not helping out that much, but as you can see, that's when we actually will start creating some other effects. Think about this like yes, like recreating texture. It's not like when we were little that we were just making like long traces like this. Try to make like short traces where you can have the control of the saturation. For the ones who don't know what I'm talking about the word saturation, saturation is the meaning of the amount of color, in this case, talking about saturation, the amount of color in one area. So you have to decide the saturation of every area that you are starting to color. As you can see, there's like more saturation over here instead of over here. So probably I'm gonna use this one a little bit more over here, over this area. So that means that instead of starting with the mustard one, I'm gonna start with this one because I want to saturate this area a little bit more with this like yellowish kind of pastel, because it's going to work out very nicely. Sorry, I said that I was going to use the colored pencils over here, but it's okay. It's basically the same principle, guys. Okay, so I first saturated with this one that it's like a little bit like yellowish, and this is like a little bit more like a mustard kind of color. So I'm just gonna add a little bit, just a little bit more, because according to our photo over there, we definitely want to have more of a yellowish instead of a mustard. Okay, so what's the next step? This could be more like a creative decision, but I think because I don't have that specific color over here, okay? So you can take your pastel, and this is going to be too, like a little bit too much brown, but let's take like this creative decision, because you are gonna see, you're gonna start watching how these little traces, once I just cover a little bit of this, once I get like this, I don't know if you can see it, there is just like nothing. Then you can grab maybe not a white but a neutral color, and you can start like adding the color, like blending the color. Okay, I'm not pushing that much, but this like lighter color is going to help me to blend all over here. There are so many techniques. This is not the only technique to use pastels. This is one of many, okay? But for beginners, I think that this can work out. Okay. And so, oh, something important. As you can see, my pastel is getting really dirty. I recommend to have like a kitchen napkin, or what we know as servitoalla, because this is what you're gonna do. I'm holding the cell phone, sorry, but you're going to use both of your hands, and you're going to do something like this to clean your pastel, okay? Because as you can see, and especially with the lighter colors, they're gonna always get all messy and dirty, and that's normal. The only thing that you need to do is to clean them up, so once that you want to start drawing, you don't have any kind of problem, okay? So I'm gonna go back again, obviously, because I'm blending. I'm basically like saturating. This is obviously brighter again because I don't have the exact same tones, but this is a creative decision, guys. You have to do the same thing. You have to decide if you want to leave it like me, like it's a little bit more creamier, or maybe you want to add a little bit more of this like mustard jello. And I really didn't want to use the gray because usually that will take, it will take like down. I don't know how to say it. It's like making colder, because the gray is basically black and white, but this is not a perfect gray. It has a percentage of blue, and blue, as you know, it's a cool color. So if we start adding the gray, this will start feeling a little bit cooler. Well, let's try out. I'm gonna try out for you. I will stop doing this. I just wanted to make the exercise for you again with my like creamy pink color. Okay, so can you see the difference? This is where I barely used just something like a little bit of this brown, this mustard, and this mustard and this jello that is a very bright jello. Maybe your palette has like the regular jello and it will look really cool. And this is the one that I use with the gray, okay? My recommendation, not using it, okay? So let's say, because I'm going to jump a little bit, obviously, guys, remember please that we have to start adding always like the main colors in this case. Oops, there it is here. Look at this, guys. Remember, you have to be going back and forward, or in this case, to be watching the original and your drawing, so you can know where to add color and where not to add the color. Okay, and even we know this part is going to be dark and it's going to be like black, like over here. My recommendation is to even saturate, just saturate a little bit of this. And actually, I'm going to saturate not just with the black, but also with the, sorry, not with the brown, but with the, here, with this like mustard. Because these little parts, believe me, we don't want to leave any, like, white areas. Bit of this mustard. I didn't use the mustard at the beginning over this like reddish area because I wanted to have more of the red or more pigmented red areas. Okay, so obviously you will start knowing the materials and knowing like the creative decisions just with time. This is practice, guys. There's no recipe for these. Maybe I can give you some recommendations, but basically this is practice, practice, practice. And as you can see, guys, this is starting to look a little bit messy, but don't worry. Just try to pay attention to the details, because let's say that I think that we can saturate this a little bit more with white. The white is going to give us that like kind of texture of blending. But remember, guys, I'm not blending like a perfect gradient, or what we say in Spanish, degradado. I don't want to be perfect. I want to keep this like little holes, because that will give me the feeling of the cave, that it's not perfect. It's something natural. It's nothing printed. Okay, guys, I'm gonna do just like this little area, because the next thing, let's say that, imagine, guys, that I have finished all over like this, the whole drawing. If you're gonna use pastels, you have to be very patient and then start making the traces. This time, remember, guys, the black, it's pretty powerful and creamy. You have to try to make the best with the traces. And I specifically did not saturate over here because I want a perfect black over here. Here, all, if you see, here's not perfect. There has like a second layer of the red one, but over here it's perfectly black. So I'm gonna do this again, guys. Imagine that this is completely finished, but I just want to like try to look the difference between saturating first with color and then just like coloring this way. Look how like super dark and saturated is looking over here, and then how we have like this unperfect areas. There are some other ways to try to cover this, like for example, some people use the cutter or the knife, and they start making the shape so they can have more definition on their traces. You can do that. Sometimes I don't like that because I know that there's a lot of material that will be lost, but I will let you practice and experiment with this stuff, okay? So this is just like a very quick explanation of how to use pastels or oil pastels for the drawing. Obviously, I'm still missing a lot of detail and saturation all over here. This is absolutely incomplete. This is just a reference so you can start practicing with your oil pastels in case you're using the oil pastels.